You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include environmental collapse, climate disaster, apocalypse, survival and scarcity, death of loved ones, grief, complex relationships, anxiety and paranoia, fantasy violence, blood and gore, body horror, and references to child death. Arc 4, Episode 14. The Soul is Hollow. From Waiting for the Moon to Burn by Connie Chang. Notes on Biome. Entry 094. It is widely regarded that the last ecosystem to die on Keseki was the desert. It was already an arid biome to begin with, and it held out for a long time, much longer than the rest. The plants and the animals and the peoples knew what they had to do, more than most. Succulents went dormant, closing their spines and shedding their blooms to conserve what little water was left. Beetles and rock foxes tunneled underground, nesting near veins of water and pockets of dampness. Desert communities rallied around their precious wells and aquifers, praying to our ancestors for relief. But relief did not come. Cacti were pried open by desperate knives and claws and tongues that licked up whatever moisture they could find. Unrelenting winds blew in every direction, toppling trees and buildings, eroding structures that had stood for centuries. Scorching heat from the triple suns drilled holes through the increasingly unstable magnetic field around the planet's atmosphere, sparking wildfires at the lightest disturbance. And the sand. The rich and golden sand, made of so many tiny particles of rock and quartz, the child of mountains and wind, of endless kisses between breeze and stone, also died. The quartz flaked away. The rock decayed. Golden grains turned gray and limp and thin. The deserts of Keseki put up a good fight against the drought. One of the best, in the opinion of this humble archivist. But they could not last forever. Nothing lasts forever in the end. The second week dawns. The black spire of the radio tower fades into the distant dust behind your backs, and the steep, crumbling terrain of this once mighty mountain evens out into what used to be, according to Xainan's map, the Hofu Desert. But unlike a desert, it is not alive. It is not rich and golden and full of spiny plants and flying insects and tiny beasts that burrow through the earth. Instead, a gray expanse sprawls before you with dunes of powdery dust that lack the firmness, the solidity of sand. With each step, you risk sinking into the dust. Sometimes the dust is only ankle deep. Other times you fall until the ball of your foot hits something solid and you catch yourself half submerged, coughing. Each disturbance you make kicks up the dust, and unlike sand, it does not settle down. The dust flies upward and everywhere and lingers forever around you, choking the very air itself, following your party like a cursed miasma. This is the only ocean on Keseki now, an ocean of dust and grit, of gray swirling and endless wheezing. Here, in what used to be the Hofu Desert, the days are scorching. The dust that thickens the atmosphere acts as a thermal layer, trapping the heat from the triple suns. And unlike how the desert used to be, how the desert should be, this heat is suffocating. Not humid. There's not nearly enough moisture in the atmosphere for that, but a simulacrum of humid, which is somehow worse, because you must endure the smothering discomfort of humidity with none of the relief that accompanies it in the form of water. Your only reprieve is the night, if you can call it a reprieve. The nights are long, very long and cold, very cold. Within an hour of the sun's going down, the heat dissipates and the chill sets in. The starlight does its best to penetrate the dust, but it is paltry and it is weak, and you cannot see more than 12 feet in any direction. You must huddle for warmth, and even then the risk of hypothermia is high. The desert feels endless, and it is dotted by all manner of things that do and don't make sense. You see caverns bored into the sides of desiccated hills, a half of a jet wing, an entire house turned on its side, smashed into smithereens, every piece of it picked clean. As the days turn into yet another week, how do you endure the desert and keep yourself occupied? Let's start with Xainan.
Xainan begins to sober again. He was quite cheerful last week, all things considered, and given his general demeanor since we landed on Keseki. That's been wearing, not necessarily back into hopelessness or sadness, but more of a somber contemplation. And with that, he begins to wonder lots of other things, questions that he had somewhat put on the back burner in the pain of arriving at the tower, in the confusion of everything he had learned. And now, in a little bit of pain, it resurfaces again. The question he almost asked Lumièra in that rundown building that we found shelter in right before finding the tower. You can hear her say it when Keseki was green. And Xainan, still somewhat incapable of getting straight to the point, limps his way to Lumièra as the suns are in that strange middle place of going down. It's not cold yet. And I think he just goes, at first, sitting down. Would you redress my wound for me?
Yeah, of course. No problem. And she'll start digging around in her robes and such, and her jacket for all of her medical supplies.
But as she works, he watches and waits to gather the thought, the question, and a little bit the courage. Actually, will you, when you're done with that, will you listen to my heartbeat?
Yeah. Lumièra's eyes go wide in concern. Have you been experiencing any arrhythmia, or?
No, it's just, well, you'll I think it might sound a little odd.
Okay. I don't think I have my stethoscope with me. Just hold still. And Lumièra will gently place her head in between your breastbone.
And he pulls away his scarf and his goggles and lets her get to hear it. Unhampered through fabric as much as possible, just the thin layer of his shirt in the way.
Lumièra, you press your ear. Lumièra, you press your ear against Xainan's sternum, and you focus. You tune out the rest of the howling wind and the blowing dust around you, and you concentrate. And at first, you don't hear anything, perhaps the empty space between beats, and then you hear it. But there's something wrong. It's there, but barely. It feels far away. As though it weren't 2 inches underneath your ear, but 2 miles beneath the earth. And you were pressing the hollow of your earlobe against the opening of a well. It's an echo of an echo. A memory of a memory of what should have been there. What was there. What isn't. Could be there.
Xainan, do me a favor. Take 4 deep breaths for me, please.
And he does. Nice and slow and steady.
Lumièra, you hear the wind whooshing into Xainan's lungs, like a kind of familiar rushing noise that you're very used to as a healer. You hear it swirling around the lungs. You can sense the lungs expand and then like push outward. And through it all, the heartbeat just stays the same rate and the same distance away. And Xainan, is there a moment after you take the 4th breath where you don't take a 5th?
Oh, he stops. In fact, he looks down and waits for her to notice that he has just stopped breathing.
Xainan, you have to breathe. You're not light-headed.
No. And he doesn't breathe in to say those words. As he looks down, not at all. And he puts his hand on her arm. I think maybe I'm a bit more different than I realized.
I mean, yeah, your heartbeat doesn't sound typical. It doesn't sound like it's beating right underneath the ribcage, which the way it typically does do in every single anatomy class I've ever taken. And
what I thought when I got back to trans was that they had healed me using the traditional techniques that you learned in therapeutics and recovery. But what if I told you, through something I barely understand, and he looks up to that seed in the sky, that thing staring down. What if I told you I was dead?
Don't be ridiculous. You're literally standing right here in front of me.
I know. I know. And then takes a deep breath in.
And I think in that moment when you take that deep breath in, that is the light that goes off in her mind. So you have not taken a breath since that last one up until now. Holy shit.
Strange things we learn every day.
How is that even possible?
Says the person who traveled back in time.
And I think that immediately tampers the inquisitive gears turning that was in her mind. Touche.
You think you could do it again?
That is a loaded question, Xainan.
Just wondering.
I mean, I did it before. I could probably do it again, but that was my first time, and I still don't feel right after it did such scrambling and remelding and re-scrambling of... And she gestures to her body in a way that she can't even really describe outside of just all over her person. It's... I just can't right now. It's genuinely not that I don't want to. I just... To my understanding, you have to have a certain amount of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's rules that are involved.
Well, obviously, like any learning you've done, you can do anything you put your mind to, Lumièra.
Yeah. I can. I just don't know if I'd be able to get back this time.
Well, things to learn when you get better. Recover first.
Yeah. Is that all you want to say to me? You've been looking at me weird for weeks.
He looks her over, and it's the same concern that he came to you with when he held out that little bit of food that he promised he wouldn't do again. That's all. You know, I think you're capable of anything. That's all.
I appreciate your vote of confidence.
Maybe next time you'll shoot the middle of a target. Anyways,
Someone's a better teacher.
Oh, all right. Well, I will tell that to the burned food.
You know what? And Lumièra will gently poke her finger in the side of your wound. I'll remember that next time you ask for help. Pop, pop.
And now, as the days turn into yet another week, we pan across space and time to settle on you, Lumièra. How do you endure the desert and keep yourself occupied?
What Lumièra typically does to keep herself occupied. She does what she knows. So she makes her medical rounds, double checking over everyone, making sure that people are as okay shape as possible, looking out for signs of infection, things of that nature. And if she's not doing that, she's reading quite literally the only book that is available to her right now for the 12th time. Passions of the Godspine. You know, after her 6th time through it, it actually does get better. Not much, but she sees what's happening there. There's something brewing under the surface, and she just closes the book again. She got to this one chapter where it's written a little clunky, and it's always hard for her to get through that part. So she'll close it for later on tonight and make her way over to Yinghe.
As you close your book, after reading through it for the umpteenth time, it's an entertaining read, and it is useful for now. You are squeezing as much water as you can from this stone in the art of occupying yourself from thinking about the other things that are there. The way that Xainan is looking at you when he asks about your chronergy. The way that Seir paces and ignores you, ignores everyone else, refuses to look any of you in the eye. And as you walk over to Yinghe, who has, over the course of these past 2 weeks, not really spoken much to Xainan, not really spoken much to Seir, if at all, and has primarily turned to you as a conversational partner. You see them bring their head up, the black silk-like hair falling out of their eyes. Their hat is on the ground next to them in this brief moment of respite, and you can see that their arm is no longer in a splint, but in a kind of cast that you had helped mold for them out of what meager resources and scraps of plastic and fabric you were able to piece together. Here for your checkup. They smile a little, and they offer you the arm.
Hey.
Hi.
How you feeling?
I'm okay. Arm's fine. It still hurts a little, but it's getting better every day. I think I'm getting some mobility back in my fingers. Can you roll your shoulder
yet? It's still a bit painful?
Yeah, it still hurts a little, but
you gotta move it just a little bit, hon.
I know, it's just hard and hurts.
Okay. So, let's go over it one more time. Hand up.
Okay. Up.
Thumb.
Oh, okay.
Index finger. Middle. Ring. You get more mobility there. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Pinky?
The ring's really sticking, and the pinky. And Yinghe winces a little. The pinky's always been the hardest for them to roll down. And they kind of let out a deep breath, and they look at you with those eyes of theirs. Can you help me like you did yesterday with bringing my pinky down?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Lumièra will walk behind Yinghe, gently brace her left hand over her wrist, and with her right index finger will gently push it down. Tell me when.
Oh, that actually feels good. It's nice to get a stretch there.
Okay. Up one more time.
Okay.
We'll do it again.
Okay. All right.
One more time. Mm-hmm. We're going to try a little further. Just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, okay. We'll back up.
No, it doesn't hurt. It's good. It feels It's nice when you hold it.
Okay. One more time? Can you for me?
Yes. Yes, for you.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
One more.
Okay.
There. Okay. And Lumièra will kind of feel around their hand, tenderly checking around in their shoulder. It doesn't look like anything is pulled, but looks like you're healing pretty nicely.
Thanks to you. I really can't thank you enough, Lumièra.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You're up to that part in Passions again, aren't you? Where they have that, really awkward, three-way romantic fight.
Yeah, and, I don't understand the play, because, if they all just spoke to each other...
I know. Oh my god, that's what I've been saying. It's like the author doesn't even really know how to write people. If I was in that situation, I'd just bring stuff up.
Exactly. You can catch way more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. Just be open. Especially about your feelings.
Yeah. And you see Inka glance subconsciously in Seir's direction, and they look back at you. Well, thank you for the PT. I really appreciate it. And if I can do anything for you, let me know. I know you're still tired, even though it's been a few weeks. Really seems like all that time stuff took a lot out of you. But I'm always here if you want to talk or if you need anything.
I appreciate that. You're the only one I can really talk to. Those other two are...
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too nowadays.
Yeah, well, remember, hand exercises 3 times a day. We're gonna try each finger random times when you think about it, when you're able to.
Yes, and
Attempt
I
to
might
roll your
need
shoulder.
your fingers to help me with some of those.
Yeah, of course. Anything for you. Okay?
Okay. Well, I guess it's time for Seir's checkup now.
Yep. Okay. Remember, before bed and when you get up in the morning, back and forth,
Yes.
mobility with your shoulder.
Yes, will do.
Okay.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. And Lumièra will reach out and kind of caress the side of their head, and will stand back up a little gingerly with her injury and her thigh still, and will make her way over to Seir. She walks up to Seir very cautiously, almost like she's trying to get into the same gate or a barn with an animal that's a bit on edge, a bit antsy. And she'll stay off to the corner. Hey.
Hey.
Let me look at your tail.
Seir's antlers have been loading. The lights in it, I mean. Where usually the light of contemplation would blink a reflective white. It's red. over and over and over again. And it stills for a moment as if there's a slight light glitch where a bit of lavender shines through, but it is snuffed out back by the red. And Seir turns to you, stands up. It's better now, since the extra splint and attention you gave to it the other day.
Good. Good. Can you move it at all? And she gingerly walks closer to you.
You approach him. Doesn't say anything, Lumièra. He doesn't look at your eyes. His eyes, his own bright blue, they're so dull. They're so dull, they're almost gray. He moves the tail. It moves. It works. There's stuttering. Definitely around the area that the bone where his tail snapped against that cavern wall. He is a shell of himself, and Seir, even here in this moment, as he casts his gaze onto the floor, his feet, all he wants to do, that he knows will give him comfort, that he knows would help, that would heal him, make him feel less like a walking blade, is if he could just look at you and tell you the truth. If he could just help Yinghe through therapeutics, if he could just listen to Yinghe, maybe speak a little bit, if he could just sit with Xainan like he did on the Wild Sea. He could do all of that. But he doesn't. They stand there stock still, imprisoned by the red threads of their own mind, suffocating him. And all that is left that Seir feels himself worthy of is this. Because this is not a man who cares about himself in any stretch of the imagination. The only person who could do this to themselves is someone who truly, truly hates themselves.
I think at first, Lumièra doesn't even notice. I think she is so, she's so tunnel visioned right now, searching for anything, any type of outside stimuli, anything that could keep her focused here in the now on the ground instead of that big black hole in the sky that still haunts her dreams and her waking moments, to the point where she doesn't even look up anymore. She keeps her head down and has been, but it's still there. So as she goes through the rounds, it takes her a moment to even realize she's having a hard time even touching you. Every time you feel her hands make contact, it's almost like she's in contact with a hot stove. She pulls back a bit, unsure. She still remembers. Remembers what you felt like in her arms, remembers what happened in Inferno. All of this right now. She is barely keeping it together, but so are you. And
how tragic it is that we both stand here just at the precipice of connection. A comfort that we know that we can give one another, and we will refuse it to ourselves.
I can't hurt more people.
And I can't watch you die.
Seir, as the days turn into yet another week, how do you endure the desert and keep yourself occupied?
I do not. I pull, I push, I break, and I hold. Every boulder that we step on is held in place by me. Every steep climb is not hiked. I tie a rope around the bodies of every Strike Team Nova member, and I pull them up myself. I insist on it. I insist on all of this, actually. The destruction of my body, with starvation, when hunger is so heavy. I feel my body struggle, my muscle weaken, and I do not let it rest. I do the same thing I always do. I maintain the perimeter. I scavenge. I watch my teammates sleep. I pray that Xainan doesn't breathe his last as his body feels colder next to mine as I huddle everyone closer to my body and my warmth. He feels colder every night. There's a distance between Lumièra and I that I refuse to close, and yet I see the pain in her eyes and I refuse to do anything about it. I see Yinghe's pain, and all they could need is my shoulder, my safety, my friendship. And what do I do? Nothing. Fear takes hold of me.
There is no oil black serpent coiled around your ear, whispering dreams of fire into you in the wild sea. There is no divine gnawing, empowering you to gorge yourself upon the devouring of the past of the city of heaven. This is not Doom's edict. This is not the teaching of the great huntress. These are not your instincts. These are not your skills. This is not your calling. This is a choice. Choices you are making over and over and over again each time you turn away from Lumièra. Each time you refuse to confront Xainan. Each time you decide not to be the one to speak to Yinghe first, as you know they want, as you know they need, as they have asked you for, over and over and over again through the course of your bond with each other. This is you, and you alone. And you are alone. Despite being surrounded by your strike team, an isolation, a insulation of nothingness that you place yourself in willingly. Why?
When Eregnus whispered power into my ear, it felt bad. I know then and I know now I felt the darkness. I felt the oil. That's why I feared it. I felt the gnawing hunger as I bit into a demon and felt their blood satiate me. That felt bad. I could tell. I could feel the doom around me. There's something about the lie they tell themselves. That this is twisted to noble purpose. If I'm doing this for Nova, this cannot be a wrong choice, right? Why do I do it? It's because I don't deserve those comforts. There is a sin I have not paid the price for, and I will constantly punish myself. I will bear the self-imposed cross because I know not love nor mercy for myself. How can you love yourself when all you see in the mirror is a void?
The second week draws to a close, and we have yet another round of survival to account for. First, our group survival check. Just as a reminder, each individual success you get is one resource that you harvest over the course of the week. You decide if it goes to provisions, energy, or protection. Let's start this time with Xainan. Are you harnessing a relevant tool or power?
Absolutely. Xainan, when left alone, even when he is just walking, he is testing the limits. He's remembering Naeem shunting him out of his own physical form. He is thinking about the ghosts that he called upon in the city of heaven. He is walking the path that he stumbled through before now with open eyes. And he is looking for the ghosts. Like he saw the tree from the Lodestar setting. He saw the spirit therein. He saw so many things. He knows so many things now that he didn't know before. And he goes looking for them, asking for their help.
Okay. Just like in the previous week, you follow the vestiges, the echoes of the ghosts that now feel closer to you. Not because they left you and returned, but because you left them, learned who you were, and found your way back. Are finding your way back with each new revelation of your body, each internal apology you make, each earnest step forward in their direction. And you see footsteps leading you to places where you can harvest resources. You hear ghostly whispers that turn your head in the direction of a place that might promise some scrap of water or food. So why don't you make your roll with 2d20? And roll dominant. Looking for 12 and under.
Absolutely. Ooh, 112.
Okay, that's two resources though. That's still pretty good. Where would you like to put it? We have 5 provisions, 4 energy, and 3 protection.
I think knowing what's going on Xainan feels pretty safe with the energy and the protection we have now, so it's all going to go into provisions.
That is a smart choice. Let's pan over to Lumièra. I don't think you have a relevant tool or power, so that's just going to be 1d20.
Me and my one, as usual.
10 and under.
I'm just using another dice this time. Perfect. 8. So that was 1.
Okay.
Success.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, where would you like to put that resource?
I'm definitely going to put it into provisions as well.
Great. That's always an excellent category to put it in. And finally, let's go over to Seir.
It's just Seir. That's the only thing that's fueling him. Not even Doom's guidance, so I think that'll be just 1d20.
Yes, I think so too. We are looking for a 12 and under for you.
That is a failure with 15.
Yes, actually, I'd love for you to tell me how this failure comes about. You're pushing yourself to the limit. Xainan finds the lion's share of food and what little moisture remains in hidden caches throughout this desiccated desert, and even Lumièra is able to scrounge up a spare ration or two. Why don't you find anything?
Seir finds nothing because it's not survival anymore. It's not hunting anymore. Seir jumps at shadows. Seir's distracted by a strange rustling in the distance. It is a paranoia that distracts him immensely. He will tell himself that it is. It's better for me to be in the perimeter. I'll hover. And that's all he
Seir.
does.
You fray your own nerves with these terrible, self-loathing thoughts that act as steel wool, just scrubbing at the interior contours of your mind. You are jumpy, your cortisol levels are through the roof. At this point, by the end of the second week, your blood pressure has been elevated for at least 15 days in a row. You haven't been sleeping well. You've been pushing yourself to the limit. Of course you didn't find anything. Ironically, in attempting to try to keep everything together, you're falling apart before your own eyes. Those eyes that you keep fixed to the ground, fixed in any direction except the faces of your strike team members. And now, it is time for our resource drain. We had 8 provisions, that's going down to 4. Lumièra, would you like to spend 3 to patch someone else up?
Where are we at right now with provisions after that? We have 4 left over?
We've got 4 left, so if you spend 3, we'll have 1 left.
1. I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
Because I know
Okay.
Xainan's still not going to want me to patch him up, so...
You are right.
Okay. Sounds good. And now it's time for the third and final piece of survival. My favorite piece. Using the sing die. Oh, okay. On your 14th day of travel, your party comes across something buried in the earth beneath you, poking out of the desiccated sand. And upon unearthing it, you find a small metal box. When you open it up, because the hinges are rusty and the lock that's on is so far gone you can easily crack it open, you see a container full of loose bullets. Some of these bullets fit Xainan's gun, but most of them do not. Aside from the bullets, there is also a photograph. a small photograph that's been folded in half so it can fit inside the canister. And when you open up the photo, you see that it is almost fully decayed and dissolved, but you can still make out what you surmise is a portrait of someone next to a windowsill, looking outside. And their face is completely illegible, and so are most of the details. But you glimpse bright purple grass outside the window. You see a single hand resting against a knee, with a small iron band around the ring finger. A wedding ring. Which of the items in this box does your party keep? And which, if any, do you leave behind?
I think Xainan would, out of habit, take it all. But in the past where he might have left behind the picture, he looks at it, and for a second he feels like he can smell that grass. He wants to just dive into it, and with the same eagerness that he has shown the map and talked about places that are adjacent to Haruna as we get closer, he shows it, and he beams with love and pride. Shows it to everyone.
Lumièra and Seir, how do the two of you react to this moment from Xainan?
Do you know him? Do you know this person
No.
at all?
Don't even know who this is. But look out the window.
Purple grass.
It's beautiful.
That's how it used to look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. The whole world used to be like this. Not green, purple. Some places. I know there used to be desert somewhere around here. Just as lush, full of life.
Xainan, you hold on to the photo, you hold on to the bullets. And that is an additional 1 protection for your party. So by the end of week 2, you have a 4 in all 3 categories: provisions, energy, and protection. As the 3rd week of travel dawns, the scorching hot dunes of dust eventually give way to the river. Or at least what used to be the river. Once upon a time, Drakefly Run was one of countless distributaries of the ancestral line, the great river that flowed north to south through the entirety of Keseki. Drakefly Run gushed through a vast and mighty canyon that was home to countless communities that built their futures on its rich and fertile banks. This river, and the canyon that it snakes through, is marked on Xainan's map as an opulent stretch of turquoise, scarlet, and gold that eventually tumbles into the jeweled waters of the Kagayaku Ocean, creating a craggy coast where the two biomes collide. In a messy and angular script, Operator 19 had scribbled the following words: Gem-beaked kingfisher. And now, upon this dusty ridge that marks the end of the Hofu Desert, Drakefly Canyon extends for as far as your eyes can see. Maze-like walls rise in all directions, forming an endless labyrinth of jagged rock. A long, long time ago, this rock was red and striated and lush with plants and insects and the nests of river birds. But now, a dull gray sheen hangs in every crevice, obscuring your vision and choking your lungs. At the bottom of this gorge, the ghost of Drakefly Run winds colorlessly between spiraling buttes and precipitous cliffs. All that remains is a dried up river bed, hard and cracked and dead, just like the ground of Hane Bay, just like the ground everywhere. These cracks range from hairline fractures to deep, yawning fissures. Your team rappels down a steep cliff, and you begin to follow the river toward the sea. As the days pass, you encounter a few things of note. An abandoned fishing village with every house picked clean, a rusted and overturned steamboat dashed against the rocks, an anchor, massive, without a vessel. All around you, jagged buttes tower into the air. Some are solid and rectangular, others arched with openings so wide it could fit a train through. Still others are thin and spiraling and pillar-like, their walls etched with deep gouges from countless centuries of erosion by water, wind, and now dust. According to the map, by the time you reach Drakefly Canyon, you have covered over 230 miles on foot. There are many miles left to travel, but Haruna Valley is closer to your grasp than ever before. Xainan, even though you've never been to Drakefly Run in your life, you are familiar with its parent river, the Ancestral Line. One of the line's many distributaries flows into the Haruna itself. But the river dried up before the lake did, years before you were born. The elders in the city spoke of Haruna River with fondness, but you never saw its emerald waters with your own two eyes, never heard it roar in the summer like a prairie leopard and burble in the winter against its own frozen current. The river drying up was just something it did, something that happened. There was still the lake, always the lake, until that, too, died. So, when you reach this canyon, Xainan, you can sense what is to come deep within your bones. Drakefly Run is a stranger to you, but her cousin is not. Her cousin, or at least the tales of him, lives in a strange place within you, a memory of a memory, a ghost of a ghost. And this memory, this ghost, is tinged with home. You're getting closer to Haruna. You can feel it. So let's start with you, Xainan. It is the end of the third week. Night fell 2-3 hours ago, and camp was made shortly after, in the shadow of a twisting butte. All around you, massive fingers of rock extend for as far as the eye can see, cradling you in their palms, as though they were the Buddha themselves. It's cold. The wind is calm. The shadowy lumps of your party's tents are arranged around the fire, assembled from scraps of fabric, plastic sheets, and random materials you scavenged over the course of your journey. The flame flickers, casting dancing shadows across your face. You are on first watch. What thoughts are playing through your mind, and how do you pass the time before your shift ends?
The sense of home is like a beacon. It's like a call. It's like a prayer. And it elicits grief. But not the same grief that he's held like a fragile, hollow eggshell. But one that he didn't let himself feel. And with the knowledge that he's walked with now for over 2 weeks, it feels like the sound of a bell deep in his soul, ringing with a love that is as much a part of him as his body, as his identity, as his name. That grief he pictures holding. And she is a frail 11-year-old. She is also sitting just out of reach in the loam of the wild sea. That grief is the look on Nova's face when Xainan returned after being gone. It's a grief that he is both made and that he is made of. Love for his children. And he will hold that grief like a dagger he walks into every day for the rest of his life. But every day of this journey, it has further and further solidified what he already knew. Hell, what Naeem knew back at Trans. Nova's his family. And here around this fire, holding the memory of the two daughters that aren't here. As the fire burns low and he can almost smell drakeberry on the air. He does something he's thought about only alone for over a decade. Over moon and under stars, fly to dreamland in my arms. Nothing keeping you awake. I will be here at daybreak. Never worry, never fear. I will keep you safe and near. Better catch sleep for it runs. I will hold you, my loved one. Stars watch over you tonight. They will keep the skies alight. Dream so sweet till sun's delight. I'm beside you through the night. And he sings quietly a lullaby handed down to him by his parents, handed to them by theirs.
Xainan, as the last note of your lullaby rings out into the still, dusty air around you, you see something lit by the fire at the corner of your gaze. Raptor prints in the dust, leading in the direction of home, of Haruna Valley. And then a stray breeze comes and blows the prints away.
He holds that vision, looks over his family, and we see Xainan Esch happy at the end of his world.
Lumièra, here at camp, settling down yet again toward the end of your third week in a long odyssey toward Haruna Valley. Where do we find you, and how are you passing the time before bed?
I think at this point, Lumièra is probably off, not away from everyone else, but I think she's like off over to the side. I think Lumièra and Yinghe have like put their bedrolls like next to each other together, and just sit and chat. I think it looks almost akin to like, you know, like the girls' sleepover, where like Lumièra's like leaning like on her stomach and is like talking to Yinghe like rather emphatically, and is pointing to passions of the god spine in between the two of them. And I think it was just like, see, and this is what I was talking about with the characterization of Luna and Midnight and Shadow. Actually, this doesn't even make any sense. It says right here in chapter 14 that Luna said that Shadow's bones were all broken, but then in that same chapter right before the end, and they're really quick at that, it says that Shadow just got up. Now how can you do that if you've broken multiple bones, let alone any bone? It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You know, as someone with a broken arm, I can tell you it's really bad, and
it's
you know,
way
even
more
a single
excruciating.
broken bone, yes, would absolutely take you out of the equation. So every
Let alone
bone
multiple.
in Shadow Oak's body, yeah, it doesn't
And-
make any sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is just another example of the inconsistency of the narrative here.
Exactly what I'm talking about. And Lumièra like has a pen and like pulls a top off it with her teeth and is like jotting in the margins in between Artemis's note and Wu Yin's note with like actual, like, you know, like a medical examiner like analyzes this death scene. Like that is what she is doing, like putting like actual medical notes in between the margins and annotations between the two of them.
Yes, and you guys like chiming in and like telling you additional things you should like note and other details to point out. And it's around this time.
Understood this at all.
I know. It's like Wu-Yin and Artemis aren't even really talking about what's actually happening in this paragraph. I don't know if they're even reading the same book as we are, but. And then Yinghe trails off, because that's when Xainan's lullaby drifts over the still wind in your direction. A few sentences of it, the melody, and then it dies down. And Yinghe quiets down. It's beautiful.
I've known Xainan
it's
for
also-
a long time, and I've never heard him sing.
He has a really nice voice. The song is very sad.
And I think they say sad at the exact same time.
Yeah. There's a moment when Yinghe blinks upon hearing the same word come from your mouth, and they look at you. Oh, actually, I think it's my turn for Night Watch. I'll go relieve Xainan.
Oh, okay. Tell him I want to see that wound before he goes to bed. Make sure it's
Okay,
clean.
I'll let him know. And Yinghe smiles
Night.
and gets up. Good night. Sweet dreams. And they head off in Xainan's direction. As they do, Lumièra, you are left alone. Again. With just yourself, your thoughts, and the book. And even at night, even though the sky is dark and partially obscured by gray mist, and the stars are not visible through the haze, the one thing that is visible is that hole, darker than black, more void than void, that looms above your head and stares at you. And with it, you hear the voice of the drifter, the urgent tones, the dire warnings and lessons they had impressed upon you back in time. You remember the strain of it pulling at you, vaulting, how it took so much out of you. The fear and care in the drifter's voice about the consequences of even a tiny mistake, how entire timelines and every single person in every single world might not exist with just the smallest miscalculation on your part.
I think with that, Lumièra just buries her head deeper into that book, almost laying her head on it and throwing her arm across her face, doing literally anything that she can to block out that imprint, that darkness, that hole that follows her everywhere. No. And she will steel herself and go right back into the book, not making eye contact with anything else up here. Her entire frame of vision and focus is faced on the ground.
Yinghe relieves Xainan of his watch duty, and Xainan, as you walk for your nightly checkup toward Lumièra's bedroll and makeshift tent, you pass by the final tent of your party, Seir's. And we push now into Seir's tent to find him alone, as always. What thoughts are playing through your mind? And how are you passing the time before bed?
Seir is so tired. He is hungry. They're looking at their hands that was used to rig the camp, build the camp, secure perimeter, hold boulders, keep grounds secure. And they're covered in cuts. His hands were calloused before, but they're now so thick in calluses and blisters. They're not recognizable to him anymore. And what of sleep? Lest the immortal, the patron saint of mortals, were to loose an arrow in their direction. What horror? The horror of wake or horror of sleep, it's no different. If I sleep, I dream of my dead members, just like the death of my sister. I feel the patron saint of mortals' blade aimed at me. And in the day I think about it nonetheless. I should sleep. But my heart rate is so high. My fingers are shaking, actually. My boots are too tight. I kick them off. But that feels cold in the night. I think I hear something. No, I didn't. You must sleep. I cannot. My heart rate is so high. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. You should tell Lumièra. I'm not telling Lumièra. Xainan has such a lovely voice. Well, then you should work to keep it then.
And in Xainan's voice, the song, a singing you've never heard him do. It's beautiful at first, and the sorrow of it sinks in. And then an echo of the death song from the glitching static of the dead radio. A lullaby singing you, no, the rest of your team, all of them, to the place where your sister went, toward oblivion.
No. No. Not again. I don't want to be left alone again. I'm a half, I can't be a quarter. I'm already a half, I cannot be a quarter. I'm already a half, I cannot be a quarter.
You toss and you turn and you turn and you toss until Xainan stops singing, until Lumièra and Yinghe stop talking, until even the chattering tones of Lumièra checking in on Xainan die down, and it's just the silence and the wind and the crackling fire. How long has it been? You're still not asleep. You are thinking and tossing and turning, and you think of the graves. The omen you received. Sunrise. Their mission. Fate's will. How they came, how they failed, how they died. Those graves, empty graves with nothing but their weapons left behind. You see them now. Nova's graves. Xainan's rifle, buried deep inside the dirt. A single bullet left in its chamber. His hat hanging off of the gray rock of his tombstone. Lumièra's pocket watch, the hands stuck on the moment of her death, forever frozen in time. A deep fissure in her tombstone, cracked in exactly the same pattern as the golden rot eating her arm. Yinghe's tassel, shredded into pieces. The Rui symbol undone just as her fate was after choosing to travel with you, to trust in you. A Hua Dian painted on his tombstone with tears and moonlight and blood. Sing's longsword, buried in the darkness under eaves of the wild sea, burned on a funeral pyre in the city of heaven, drowned at the bottom of Inferno's river, laid to permanent rest in Keseki, a cherry blossom on her headstone, flaking into dust. And you, the one who could not save them, the one who was left behind, broken, alone, forever. No one to turn to, nowhere to go. How could you? You are isolated from the only home you've ever known, from the Syndicate, from Artemis. Not even Artemis, the great huntress, can come here, can save you. And if they die here, when they die here, it will be your fault. Your fault, Omen Speaker, for not leading them out of their graves, for letting them succumb to the portent of death that you saw but did not enforce, and you will be alone.
No. I step out of my tent, I can't be here.
But you can't be around them. You can't look at them. When you look at them, you see their death. You see the graves.
This tent, it's choking me. The darkness, the emptiness in the sky, the void. There's nothing for me here. There's nothing for us here. But all I can do is move, pace, feel the dirt beneath my feet, my toes. Feel the
Cortisol.
pain in my tail.
Stress. Fear. All
Red
of it.
light bathing my body and face.
You can't think about the fear too deeply. You can't think about where all of this is coming from. You can't allow yourself to indulge any of this. And you choose, and you choose, and you choose over and over again to push it aside, to just live in this jittering place, this reaction, this sheer, unadulterated stress. There is a shout of alarm. You recognize the voice. Yinghe.
There is no thought. Only kicking dirt beneath my feet. Heat rising up to my face. Sweat pouring down my back, my forehead, my shoulders. I feel the thrum in my antlers. A shaking, a heat. The heat of light, the heat of overworked electrodes. Feel it. My heart racing, but at least it's racing for something. A rush. There's only a rush. Faster. 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 Stone cutting the bottoms of my feet, dust filling my lungs, the choking of my breath in each breath, but I don't care. The heat of my antlers, the blood rushing in my body.
Seir. Because Sing is gone, and because she has been gone for a long time now, it is you that acts first. As always. You bull rush out of your tent and barrel across camp. Where are you looking?
I am not. My eyes are cast upon the ground. I don't think I even know I'm looking there. All I see is motion blur and the red rings of light that are burning hotter and hotter into my retinas. All I feel are the weight of my antlers as my head hangs low.
Seir, your eyes, your blue eyes now dull, now the color of dust, your antlers low, eyes not looking, not thinking, acting not on instinct or impulse or calling or training, but sheer fucking reactivity. Fear surges through your veins. Rage sings through your arteries. Your heart pummels against your ribs like a battering ram. You are not the little hunter. You are not the brother. You are not the bulwark. You are not the man who wields violence and patience. You are not even the son of doom in this moment. You do not look up, and you do not see the stranger that you kill. Your antlers punch into something solid next to Yinghe, but also strangely soft. There is a noise, twigs snapping, fruit rupturing. No, bones, flesh. And then something heavy on your horns as you pull yourself up to your full height. And something wet, hot, dripping down your face. What sensation rises through your fear and stays with you?
Warmth. Sticky, viscous warmth. Held together by the antlers of the harbinger. Blood courses down the antlers and I feel it, the heat and thickness of it entering my circuitry. I feel it, the gears turning in my head. It's realization forms in my mind of what has occurred, of the cost, of the thing I have done. I feel it in me, the blood. I feel the breath leave. When weight turns heavier, dead weight. When blood falls upon my eyes, I blink. They cover my eyelid, flowing past my cheek.
Though you do not know it yet, this moment will haunt you for the rest of your life. As it should. It will be a turning point, a compass arrow bleeding north as you make and unmake yourself. There is a body impaled on your antlers. It thrashes for a moment and then becomes very, very still. And this person who had startled Yinghe in the dead of night, the first person your strike team has come across since crash landing on Keseki, a stranger whose name you will never know, is dead before they hit the ground.
I feel it more. Dust sloughing. I feel it more now. The sloughing. The squishiness. The wetness upon my antlers. The birth of a new thread upon my antlers as it dangles upon my face. With other things. Other terrible things. I feel it now, this heaviness upon me.
And what is the noise that we hear? Coming from your mouth, through the blood. We're going to end the session there. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Arc 4, episodes 13 and 14. Let's do some much-deserved introductions, starting with Val.
Hello everyone. My name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all across the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otto Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. Tonight, I played Seir. Not the little omen, not the son of doom, not the little hunter, the harbinger of doom. I'm gonna pass it on to the cowboy of Haruna Valley.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. You can find me everywhere as Estelle of Imladris, and it's my sincere pleasure to play the father of Strike Team Nova tonight. I'll pass it on over to the hardest working healer recruiterist in the entirety of the journey.
Hey y'all. I'm Sam Star. I played Lumièra. What the fuck? Oh yeah, you can follow me on where the butterflies are blue at. Y'all see it in the chat. Take us home, Connie?
It's me, Connie, taking us home. We're heading home just like Nova is to Haruna Valley. Yay. With that stream, we are back from our surprise medical hiatus. We hope that all of you have been enjoying all of the special episodes, community streams, and additional programming that we've been doing to fill the gaps. And we are very, very grateful to everyone's continued understanding and flexibility and support for these delays in the light of our producer and dramaturg's bone injury. We love you, see you. We hope you continue to heal and recover and recuperate swiftly and painlessly. But, as this stream indicates, we are finally ready and raring to return to our regular schedule. So join us next week, Saturday, March 7th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, right here on Twitch and YouTube Live for the next installment of the Chaos Protocol. And it is one you certainly don't want to miss, because I have no idea what's going to happen. We're going to find out together. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Arc 4 stream, and I cannot wait to reveal even more about Kaseki and Nova as the season hundles onward. In the meantime, you can support our show by joining our Patreon, joining and participating in our Discord server, making fanworks if you're so inspired, posting about Transplaner on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Tumblr, rating our podcast, buying merch from our merch store, and most importantly, telling someone else about the channel. Your comrades, your companions, your lovers, your family, your friends, your siblings, your barista, your coworker, the journal that you write to about us, your blog platform, your enemy that may or may not be homoerotic, your toxic, situationship, your dog, your cat, your horse, your parakeet. Thank you all so much, Transplaners. We'll see you on Saturday, March 7th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. And in the meantime, we're going to be rating someone really awesome right now, no doubt. Most likely, honestly, like an animal stream to cool down from that. And we will Bijou. Howdy, Transplaners. It is, once again, Sponsor Connie time. Arc 4 is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge, a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures. But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the spectacular Hero Forge has sponsored us every single arc so far. We've stuck together through all sorts of exciting updates, like Hero Forge Pro, statuettes, color-printed plastic, premium plastic, but now, it's time. It's time for one of the most exciting Hero Forge updates ever. Custom dice. Hero Forge is now offering 3D printed custom dice, where you can put literally anything into the clear material of the die. Each die is printed in the same layers as the item or character bust inside of it, resulting in a solid, perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. You decide the size, color, and shape of your die, the size and color of the numbers on top, and, of course, what the die contains.
Put a frog in it.
Don't die-lay. Visit bit.ly/transforge to design your very own custom miniature or custom dice today. Hello, Transplaners! You know what time it is. Sponsor Connie time. For Arc 4, we're collaborating with the Working Families Party, who are building a multiracial coalition of working-class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. You might be thinking, why does a political party care about a queer tabletop show? As it turns out, the Working Families Party believes in the power of fandom to effect positive political change in the real world. So do we. As a Transplanerd, you're no stranger to just how political our show can be and how our stories are never just fiction. In fact, let's take an action together right now by signing a petition by the Working Families Party to break up big media companies. This cause means a lot to us personally, as indie actual play performers fighting censorship, telling authentic stories, and resisting authoritarianism. Go to bit.ly/WFPtrans and add your name to the list. By signing this petition, you will join the Working Families Party's mailing list and receive opportunities to help them organize, educate, and fundraise. So let's build a better future together.